So, what are some of the biggest influences, whether it be director, actor, actress, or
Uncle Iroh
hmm,
as a man, yeah, Uncle Iroh and definitely Batman.
yeah,
Oh, do you mean as like an artist or something? Oh,
whatever.
okay. Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah. As a man, it goes Uncle Iroh, and then it goes Batman. Then it goes Batman. Because real people, myself included, we're too fucked up to actually be a hero to anybody.
Well, I probably should say you were the one that introduced me to Stanley Kubrick films
Yes,
in college, and I appreciate that.
yes, yeah. That guy was kind of a whole other level. Which ones have you seen so far?
Clockwork Orange.
Hmm.
What was the one we were just talking
The
about?
Shining.
The Shining. Yep. There's probably others that I've seen, but don't realize that he did.
I'm sure you've seen Full Metal Jacket.
Yep.
Yeah, you look like you could suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
Yeah.
You know, all that shit was improvised.
Yeah, by
Yeah,
Joe Sargent. Yeah.
yeah. Lee Ermey was hired as the like the dramaturge or something, as the accuracy guy, because he wasn't an actor. He was the drill instructor, like actually a drill instructor. So he was hired for accuracy, and then he was like,
They're just like, do the part because we like you so much, right?
no. So the Baldwin, I forget which one it is, but the Baldwin who's on the helicopter spraying bullets at civilians and being like, yeah, get some, you know, how do you shoot women and children? You just lead them less. That fucking guy. I think he was originally the drill instructor, and Lee Ermey went to Kubrick and he was like, I want to be the drill instructor. And Kubrick said, fuck you. So he went into the costumes one time, put on his uniform, and I think either filmed it or had somebody film as he walked across like the extras like down the line, insulting each one of them. And they filmed it, and they got Kubrick to watch it. And Kubrick was like, yeah, you're the drill instructor. Have you seen Doctor Strangelove?
No, I have that.
Oh, that holds up. Black and white comedy, dark comedy, but it's a critique of the military industrial complex in the United States, mid '60s, and I swear to God, in 2025, it still hits just as hard. What about Barry Lyndon?
Nope.
Okay, so Barry Lyndon, he made, I want to say, in between Clockwork and The Shining. A lot of people criticize Kubrick films. I think because of The Shining for being so cold and like impersonal, and kind of looking at the human condition almost like a science experiment. And there's truth to that. And I think in The Shining it's very appropriate. But I don't think these people have really watched Barry Lyndon, because that is such a human and emotional and dramatic film. And I think just incredibly underrated. Yeah, Kubrick is definitely like an all time favorite. I mean, that guy is, I don't know. What is it? This guy Tom Shadyac directed like Ace Ventura and like Liar Liar and stuff. And I went to like some conference thing he had once where he's close friends with Jim Carrey, and somebody asked him what's it like trying to direct someone who's a genius, and he said genius exists within all of us. You know, it's just that Jim Carrey knows how to pull it out perfectly as an actor and everything, and you know, and I think that's true. Then I think there's someone like Kubrick who's like a genius, like a scary genius, like where whatever went on in that guy's brain was not normal. It was abnormal, but in like the best way. And thankfully, you know, he didn't get into politics or seek power or anything. He did something that we can all enjoy and appreciate long after he's gone. You know, basically, he didn't ruin the fucking world, thankfully. Yeah, I mean, I think Kubrick has inspired everybody. Have you? Well, an obvious one is David Lynch. Rest in peace, David Lynch. David Lynch also influenced me as a person a long time ago, early 20s. He did, or I was in my early 20s. I watched a video. It was like a conference where he was talking to people about transcendental meditation. And he talked about when he was younger being believing in that fallacy that like the tortured artist, in order to make powerful art, you need to be tortured. And he was like, this is bullshit. And he was like, I used to be consumed in hate and rage and negative emotions. And I'm like, this guy's full of shit. This guy was never angry in his fucking life. What is this fucking weird ass guy talking about? But he was saying that they obstructed his work. And then, you know, I'm probably maybe around the time I'm getting sober, I hear his fucking, you know, that's fucking bullshit. You can't be angry. And just, if your life sucks, you're not going to be able to make anything. You're not going to have the time to make anything. Starts popping up in my brain. And I was like, what was he fucking? And I look it up through the lens of like a 30-year-old. And I'm like, motherfucker was right. I'm like, motherfucker was completely right. And at some point I got into TM, Transcendental Meditation, thanks to him, thanks to Scorsese. So, I mean, I guess Marty's another one, obviously, you know, directed Goodfellas, directed Taxi Driver, directed fucking Departed, kid. You like The Departed?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you better like the fucking Departed. Fucking The Irishman. It's a good fucking movie. I saw that in theaters, and we were late getting to the theater, so I had to sit like in the first row. A 4.5 hour fucking movie. It fucked my neck up, but it was a good goddamn movie. I think the biggest one is like a storyteller, or like just as a writer or whatever, actually goes back to being a kid, and I would say it was George Carlin. Mm-hmm. You know, in like middle school, listening to the Carlin rants and thinking like they're hilarious because he's swearing and saying people should die in car fires and people should get decapitated and stuff, and I'm like, this guy's fucking hilarious. And then, you know, being a teenager and listening to him outline everything that's wrong with this country, and I'm like, this motherfucker's making some good points. And then you look at what you're watching, and I'm like, filmed in 1990. What the fuck? You know, but I guess that's the thing about speaking truth, is it resonates. You know, I mean, there's, back to You're on the Air, there's that obvious parallel of 1999 and, you know, whatever, 2018, whenever it was made. You know, things, you know, that one starts with, he's talking about, yeah, we got the president of the United States, he's getting his fucking dick sucked. Can you believe that? And, you know, nothing's changed 20 years later. It's just more of that. It's more of a fucking reality TV show. But yeah, I mean, I think Carlin will always be my favorite, just in general. And he's another one that inspired me, the way that he talked to people, where I'd watch him give interviews, and then at the end of the interview, he would thank the interviewer specifically for certain questions that they asked, and he just seemed so humble and gracious. And I'm like, this guy gets on stage and he's a psychopath, but he gets off stage and he's kind. And I'm like, that's the real shit. You're like, nobody wants to work with somebody who acts like a fucking psychopath all the time, you know? Speaking of that, though, I mean, Quentin Tarantino's movies are pretty fucking lit. Like, yeah. Obviously, I'd be lying if I said those didn't inspire me somewhat. You know, let me think. Do you know who Gaspar Noé is?
I feel like I've heard that name before.
What about David Cronenberg?
Definitely heard that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So David Cronenberg is the body horror guy. Did The Fly with Jeff Goldblum. Did like Videodrome and did Scanners with the meme of the head exploding. Did one of my favorite movies of all time that definitely influenced Third Eye, whether I intended to or not, is the 1996 movie Crash, which is a film about people who develop a fetish for getting in car accidents. So they go out late at night, kind of like these people living on the fringes of society, and recreate famous car crashes, and then fuck each other or jerk off, and that's the movie, and it's a masterpiece. And you know, and there would be no Third Eye without David Cronenberg. Gaspar Noé did the film Irreversible. That is just like I said earlier with like something like Breaking Bad, but this is more overt. Is like that's a a movie that you hate every single second of it, but you can't stop watching it because it's so powerful and so uncompromising. And I think that's the trick when you're trying to create something that captures the imagination of somebody and just builds a home inside their head and just lives in there long after the movie ends. Is everything about Irreversible is repulsive, but the filmmaking is so masterfully executed and so distinct. I think it's really one of the best movies I've ever seen. I've seen it twice, and I would probably never watch it again because it is, again, just repulsive. Who else? Let's see. Covered Lynch, Kubrick.
Is there any actors that stand out to you?
Man, actors aren't people. Come on, man. Oh, man. No, I mean, fucking... if I made a list of, like, the performances that fucking have stuck with me the most, I feel like Robert De Niro is just all over that list. Obviously, Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas. But I think the one that affected me the most was the sole time I watched The Deer Hunter. Have you ever seen The Deer Hunter?
I haven't, but I know about it.
Yeah, 3-hour Vietnam movie. I watched that at work too, around the same time rewatching Dark Knight. Yeah, that 3 hours. I'm working an overnight shift in a dorm, so for the most part, I'm undisturbed for the 8-hour shift. But kids come in, they're coming back or whatever, and then and I'm just like the fucking door guy, and just hey, what's up, man? Yeah. Same kids every single night. I'm watching that fucking movie, and thankfully nobody came in. 3 hours, that film ends, and I'm just there, just like fucking fighting back tears, just so overwhelmed by that story and by De Niro's performance, especially. Walken is also just fucking amazing, and obviously John Cazale. But just anyone who's seen that movie knows what I'm talking about. But I'm just there, with fucking tears in my eyes. 4:30 in the morning, and the door swings open, and it's just like some of the fucking football team that I see every day, and I'm just like, hey guys, how we doing today? Yeah, oh yeah. Have a good night. Yeah, okay. I'm like, then they leave, and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? Pacino, everyone knows, you know Pacino. Yeah. Have you seen Dog Day Afternoon?
I haven't seen that one. So.
Oh man, you got to watch Dog Day Afternoon. That's another one of those mid-70s movies. I'd say Sidney Lumet also belongs on that list of directors that influenced me. He wrote a great book called Making Movies, I think in like the 90s. That is so, you feel the love from it, and as you feel a director who's really giving credit to every single person that worked on his projects, and all of them. And he talked about Dog Day Afternoon, where he was like, the 70s were a wild time, and this is my most hands-off movie, and I just let him fucking go. But again, that guy, John Cazale, again, I think he was only in 5 movies, then he died. All 5 of them are all-time greats. But Pacino in that movie, man, is just wow. I already mentioned Heath, and I rewatched at the request of one of my friends 10 Things I Hate About You recently. And even that, I think he was like 19 or something, and he just steals every single thing he's in, and like what a shame that is. Like that guy should be winning Oscars every year. Another one like that is Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yep.
You ever see Happiness?
No.
1998. That movie will make you fucking crawl out of your own skin. That's one of those movies where you're like, I don't want to be a human being anymore. Philip Seymour. I mean, he was in Big Lebowski too. He's fucking
The Master.
Oh God. Yeah, I mean, P.T. Anderson, I guess it goes without saying, so that's how I always forget about him. But like every movie that he's made is just Jesus Christ. But yeah, oh my God, man. Have you seen was it Punch Drunk Love?
No.
Okay, so that's P.T. Anderson, where he makes Boogie Nights, masterpiece, makes Magnolia, masterpiece. If I'm remembering it right, and then they're like, "Oh, Mr. Anderson, what are you gonna do next?" And he was like, "I'm gonna do a Adam Sandler comedy." and everyone laughs, but he was being serious. So it's a Paul Thomas Anderson, his take on an Adam Sandler movie. So it's about Adam Sandler. It's a dramatic art house sort of movie. He has anger issues because it's Adam Sandler. Gives a great performance. Philip Seymour Hoffman has a very small role in it. It's just fucking. That's just me in day-to-day life. Good God, that guy was special. I rewatched the fucking Addams Family the other day, the old ones. So Christina Ricci's got to be on that list. Yeah. Fucking, even as a child, she's terrifying. But like, I don't know. Have you seen Yellow Jackets yet?
Yes, I saw the first season.
Hell yeah, dude. Christina Ricci's fucking terrifying, fucking crazy. I never watched it, but I think she did a Hallmark movie where she played Lizzie Borden, who is like my great second cousin or something.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I grew up in Lakeville, and she's from Fall River.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know how I feel about Hallmark movies, but like, I mean, Christina Ricci's in it. I don't know. She's somebody who's thankfully also still alive, so I would love to work with her one day. I don't know how she would feel about working with me, but there's just something about her eyes. They're just unhinged and menacing. Menacing. Does season 1 of Yellow Jackets have the episode where at the end of it's the end of the episode, they knock on her door, she opens it, and she's like, "What do you guys want?" Because they had a fight or something, and they're like, "We need your help getting rid of a body." And her face just lights up, and then it ends.
I think so. Yeah.
That is that's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. Speaking of television, I guess that also reminds me, fucking Vince Gilligan is also one of those guys. The guy who wrote Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, as one of those guys. I've listened to like every fucking interview he's ever given. A lot of his writing advice is just genuinely just amazing. He's another one. He's one of those guys who's talked about how being on set, a team is different every single time based on the people that you have, and there's no right way to make a movie, but your job as the showrunner, which is similar to the director, is you need to make sure that everybody's on the same page so they're all moving in the right direction, which is so simple and obvious, but you'd be surprised how often you walk on set and people have no idea what's going on. Like really. Do you know who Isabella Gianni is?
I don't think so.
Have you ever heard of the film Possession? I want to say 1981.
No, I haven't.
It's her and Sam Neill. Sam Neill from Alan Grant from Jurassic Park. Art house movie about their shitty marriage. One of the most repulsive movies ever, just far and just again makes you hate being a human being. But her performance in that belongs on that list, where a lot of people mention, Brando and The Godfather and On the Waterfront and Pacino and Dog Day Afternoon and stuff. But like she really belongs on that list as well. That's a movie that I think is due for me to rewatch.
Do you ever see yourself making a comedy or action movie, maybe?
Well, my friend, I feel like all my movies are comedies. I mean, it's kind of sadistic, I guess, but I feel like Third Eye in so many ways I did approach as if it was a comedy. Actually, one of my bigger regrets, because again we were so far behind on time, is at the end when she kind of lays it all out as far as like what her situation is, and it's like, yeah, I've made mistakes, but like I get married and I'm watching this guy die for 5 years and everything. Like that was meant to sort of be a massive tone shift, I guess, inspired by like fucking Blue Velvet and Mulholland Drive, how Lynch can just do something and it just on a heel it goes from a comedy to a drama and then to a horror. The way that he shifts tones is something that I've always loved and I try to do in my stuff. I always wish that Sherry and I had more time to flesh that out. We filmed the opening 5-minute monologue last. We filmed that a few months after we filmed the rest of the movie. After I had like told her this, that like I really wish that I had, given her more attention to sort of flesh that out and make it more dramatic, because the idea of that film is you're supposed to be watching it thoroughly entertained and kind of laughing at the absurdity, but also like low key wanting to see her, get decapitated. And then at the end, she lays out her situation, and it's like, oh, she's no longer a movie character. She is a human being with real human being problems, and she really didn't do anything that bad. Or at the very least, even if you don't agree with it, you can empathize with it. And I think that's the secret sauce to any storyteller is empathy. I feel like the movie comes off just much more of a comedy than it should have. But I feel like that's a dark comedy mostly. It uses like kind of the horror format, and there's definitely moments of being a drama. But at the end of the day, like, it is kind of a farce, and it's based off of a short story written by John Papernick, and that was sent to me in 2016, like years earlier, and all the magpie stuff is pretty much one-to-one as it is in the story that he wrote, and it resonated and stuck with me because it was so goddamn fucking funny. Ultimately, it was so fucking funny. So I would argue that is a comedy. Now, different types of comedies, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the stuff that I've written but haven't gotten around or haven't been able to afford making yet, it definitely feel like comedy. I don't really think about it like specifically
not like a structured in one genre. You're touching upon different things.
Yeah, like I said, I love how someone like David Lynch fucks with tone. And what are David Lynch movies for the most part? They're they're David Lynch movies. It's a David Lynch movie. Like, that's the best way to describe it. You can be like, oh, it's a neo noir or whatever. Well, that doesn't fucking tell you anything. And then you have like Blue Velvet, and it's like, well, it's a comedy. Sure, I mean, it's funny. I think it's funny, but then it's like, but it's not a comedy. It's fucking, it's a drama, but it's also absurd. And it's like, well, it's also very scary. It's terrifying. It's very traumatic. It's I don't know, man. It's a David Lynch movie. And I guess that's what I guess that's how I approach anything I write and try to make, is what is the story about, and then just to try to make it end at its most like kind of devastating moment,
So I know you and Marco, right, worked on the film festival, and that took probably a lot of time and energy. And I know you're on a break right now.
Yes.
But what do you have coming up in the future that we can look forward to?
So it's very exciting. I'm working under an NDA, so I actually can't talk about it. But I am, there's a feature film, and I guess all I can say is that it will change, hopefully, change the way that people look at horror films, which I also would argue it's a very funny movie, but like any good horror film is. But kind of how I think there was a shift in like last decade. I want to say like Hereditary did it, where it kind of brought about trauma horror, and this thing should hopefully bring about, I don't know, ultra real horror. Now Hereditary is a great fucking movie, so I'm not saying it's going to be like that, but that's the goal. I wish I could talk more, but I cannot.
Can you tell us what your role is? Are you producing that movie, or are you directing it, or did you just write it?
I am the writer on it.
Okay.
Let's see. Additionally, we have a feature film, my first feature film that I produced, called Within Arkham. We have that in post-production right now, so it's being cut. We shot that a couple years ago during kind of the back end of the pandemic. That is again, I mentioned it earlier, but that's a feature film that is directed by Allison. It's produced by me. It's the cinematographer is Dan. The gaffer is the great Evan Schneider. And Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly. That's a kind of a collaboration between different companies, but it is, I guess, made in association with Nihilist Media. I think that pretty much everyone in the group worked on that film in some capacity. So that'll probably be the next thing that drops, not counting any upcoming music videos, which we're not slated to shoot anything, but those tend to have a pretty quick turnaround time, and we're talking about some future stuff.
Let's talk about the film festival quickly.
Yeah, man.
So that was for, excuse my ignorance. I know it was for trafficking victims.
Yes, Project 1591.
Anyone? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, so I'd say it was about a year ago. I have this friend that I work with. His name is Bruno. Bruno has a family company that does a lot of things overseas, and I know a huge aspect of it is combating human trafficking. And it was around a year ago, he asked me and a handful of other coworkers how we'd feel about doing volunteer work to help combat human trafficking in the United States. And at first, it's like, oh damn, dude, it's like 8:30 in the morning. Like, that was a pretty heavy question. And then, you get caffeinated, and you're like, oh, you're serious, okay. And it's like, well, what do you have in mind and everything? And the more I talked to him and the more I learned about it, I'm not going to pretend to be some sort of expert, but human trafficking is so repulsively common all over the world, but in the United States. And the idea of doing something for charity is one of my big, I guess regrets in my life, is that I've never really had the opportunity to do that. I've worked full time, and so much of my money and energy has gone towards the films that we make and trying to get the company off the ground, that I've never had the opportunity to volunteer something and to just do something good just for the sake of doing something good. And that is something I've always felt bad about. And I think that people in my position, we always rationalize it in our head with bullshit, that bullshit of like, well, when I'm rich, I'll fucking donate $1 million every fucking year. And like, sure, I mean it. We all mean it when we say that, but like, that's bullshit. Like, that is bullshit. And he laid that out, and I'm like, yeah, I would love to do that. And I've, done a little bit of that with him. I'm not going to like get like too into the details and stuff, but it's similar to what Project 1591 does, which they hire security analysts, which is a job that I am trained in. And we had already shot Borrowed Time, that's in post. We had already shot Juliet and Delta, that's in post. And Bruno and I discussed this over the next, few months. I believe it was June or July. Marco texted me, and he was like, hey man, Juliet and Delta is officially done. And he's like, and we had talked about doing like a small premiere for Juliet and Delta like years ago when we shot it and all that. And he was like, so about that premiere idea. And I'm like, cool. The next day I go to work, I tell Bruno about it. And I'm like, my thing, and I have to be like specific how I say this. My thing is like having people watch my own things, at least the things that I'm financially responsible for, so I don't have any pressure to, to investors, is people watching my own thing is a reward enough, and people caring enough to like try to figure out what things maybe mean is why I want to do this thing. And it's why I've always wanted to do it, is to tell a story, to be able to hold someone's attention for some amount of time, to hopefully entertain them a little bit, or at least scare the fuck out of them. And then afterwards kind of fuck with their head a little bit and have them be like, well, but what did that mean? Did this mean that? That's its own reward. And there are a lot of, film festivals that get criticized for maybe being a scam or whatever. A lot of online festivals, a lot of festivals that like charge people money to submit it, and then they never hold a premiere or like anything. And like, I'm like, fuck all that. Like, I just want to be able to put on a good show. And there are also so many other artists that I'm either friends with or I just admire their work. And I'm like, I want to be able to put together something that's like just really entertaining for a lot of people. And I don't know. I didn't want to charge, I mean, so many of the people that are going to go to the fucking thing worked on one of the films, and I've had my films be in festivals and then been charged to go. And I think that's kind of fucked up. I understand there is a realist aspect of it. I understand like you do have to make your money back, but I'm like, I don't want to I have to charge people money, obviously, to get them to come, but I don't want to pocket that, especially like for the people on my own cast and crew who worked on it. I'm like, I don't want that. And it just sort of lined up where Bruno and I had been talking about this for a few months. And then Marco comes at that, and it's like, well, Borrowed Time should also be done soon. And it's like, we got all this. So I talked to Bruno about it. And he gave me a list of multiple groups that are farther along than like what he's attempting to do. And 1591 was definitely the top one. As far as they're not like some charity that sponsors, art openings or film premieres or anything, because the ones that are like super into that, you always have to be a little skeptical of. This is just a good cause. And we reached out to them and we were like, yeah, we're going to have X amount of money in ticket sales, hopefully. And we don't want it. We want you to have it. How can we, help get, what you were trying to do out there more? And thankfully, Marco was 100% behind the idea, just like I was. And all the everybody who worked on every single project was, which was so awesome.
Yeah, the film festival was really fun. It was nice though to see like everyone come together for a common cause and be entertained by all these shows, videos, and have something to look forward to. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. I really feel like when people come together for the right cause, maybe I learned this on set with my crew or anything. I talk about the goal being to serve the vision and everyone doing it in the way that we can best do it. And the vision is not what the director says. The vision is something that is agreed upon, communicated, because like that's the director doesn't decide that. Just like the storyteller doesn't decide what happens in the story. It comes from someplace else, someplace kind of magical. And I feel like when people come together and it's not about profit or about social media clout or anything like that or furthering their career, if they just genuinely want to do something good, I think it's a really powerful thing, and I think it's something that we kind of forget sometimes.
Yeah.
What was your favorite project? And don't say Borrowed Time. You're forbidden to say Borrowed Time. Don't say that. What was your favorite?
I really liked what was it? Julia and Delta was one of them, and then I forget the name of it, but it had to do with like the street lights.
It was just called The Street Light.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I think that's universally most people's favorite. It was so simple and just so effective. Yeah. I had a friend text me after that basically saying that like he often doesn't feel good about his place in the world because he feels like he doesn't make a difference. And then he's like, and then I look at my daughter and I realize I make a difference in her life, which is a very beautiful sentiment. And he was like, watching that film made me feel like that. And he was like, I'd appreciate it if you let the filmmaker know. Which is just awesome. What was it? The movie's like 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. I guess that's, the power of fucking cinnamon.
And then the other one that I really liked was the daughter and mother on the bench talking to each other.
A Beautiful Day, yeah. It's Mr. Ryan Nunes. He was an actor. Ryan acted in one of the Arkham films that I produced, and we have known, I guess, of each other for years because we're both friends with Chris Salvi. And it's like an unspoken thing. If you're friends with Salvi, you kind of have to know that he's going to go to every other person and say that he wants to fucking kill you at least once. So Ryan and I, like, you know, we started working together on this thing, and then after like day 3 or 4 or something, he was like, I know all about you, man, you know, because of fucking Salvi. And I'm like, none of it's true. It's all fucking. Yeah, Ryan's a great dude. His approach with filmmaking is great, where it's kind of that interpersonal thing that just like really fucking punches you in the stomach. It's just very, I don't know, ultra real and human and uncomfortable, and it's all the things that I love.
Was there anything else you want people to know about, or where can they find your work?
Yeah, so I mean, right now you can find Nihilist Media on all major things except for Twitter or X, whatever the fuck it is. Fuck that shit.
Yep.
But you know, YouTube Nihilist Media, Instagram Nihilist Media, I guess Facebook if you're old, Nihilist Media. But yeah, we should have, you know, a website dropping soon where we can you can watch, you know, The Man with the Third Eye for free. So that'll officially be out, so you can have some sort of context as to what we were talking about. And just in line with what we were just talking about, as far as doing things for charity and things being the art itself being its own reward, for all the things that I self-fund, I want to be released and to be available and be enjoyed for free. So I think everything on the website, the goal is, yeah, there'll be like some donate buttons or whatever if anyone wants to buy us a cup of coffee or something, like that's cool. But everybody should be able to enjoy or be horrified and disgusted by the things that we make. So hopefully soon, nihilistmedia.com will be a thing.
Excellent. Thank you for letting me interview you.
And the pleasure was mine.